All right, so here we go. Today's lesson is 3.5, number 1. And as a few people just interrupted me appropriately, but I need to get back to this, is that an exact answer or not? Why? Okay, so would it be better if I said 3 times the square root of 2 is like 1.149 or whatever? Would that be better? Is that more exact? No. This one is exact. Yes, that's exact. I didn't say that I knew the square root of 2 all the way out to infinity, but that is an exact answer if I left something like that. Okay, so just don't round your answers. So sometimes your square roots don't look like that. They look like this. Do you get how that is a square root, just like the other one was a square root? Okay, so is that an exact answer? Yeah, that's an exact answer. Now, do I know exactly what it is because I don't know what the x is? No, but it's better than having rounded it. All right, so moral of the story, just your answers need to be exact answers. I think you'll understand that better as we go through it. So here is a typical question. Log base, I didn't say any base, x equals 2. Well, that's not that tough. Go ahead and rewrite that puppy and you'll have the answer. Hopefully you knew that the base was 10, even though I didn't write it, because that's called the common log. And if I don't say a base, it means the base is 10. So then if 10 squared is x, and the answer is x equals what? 100. Good. What if I had come out with an answer of x also equals negative 100? What if I had? Could I include that answer or not? Is that an okay answer also? No. Here's why. Do you get that x, this spot right there is called the argument, that cannot be 0 and it cannot be negative. Therefore, if you had come out with 2 answers, you'd have to say, oh, the negative one, that's extraneous. Okay, how about in this problem? Log base 3, big space in the log there, hold on. Log base 3 of 5 is equal to x. And what if this answer had come out with a negative answer? Could it be allowed? Okay, because the negatives can be allowed over here. Now, would the answer have come out with a negative on this one? No, because it'd be 3 to the x equals 5, and then that's just basically 3 to some power equals 5, and it certainly wouldn't be a negative power, right? So that wouldn't have made sense to have that one come out with a negative. Okay, but what if I had done this? Now the answer's got to come out negative, doesn't it? Okay, so my point is, it's not like all negative numbers are automatically thrown out as extraneous. It depends. If it's over here, the answer can be negative. That's okay. If the x had been instead over here, then the x cannot not be negative at all, ever, because you can't have a negative there in the base. What if it was like this? 3x minus 5 is in the base. Now can the x be negative? Well, it depends. Some of the x's would be all right to be negative. Okay? So, like in other words, let's say I had a negative 5 in there. 3 times negative 5 and then minus 5. That one's going to be a problem, isn't it? Negative 5 would not be okay. But how about on negative 1? 3 times negative 1 minus 5 would be negative 3 minus 5. Oh, that also wouldn't work. That's not good. I guess any negative number would be a problem in that one. Okay, now if I change this to a plus, this one, some negative numbers would be okay, some of them would not be okay. So the point is, just don't be one of those kids that thinks, oh, there's a negative answer, it must be extraneous. Depends. You got to put it back in the problem and see if it causes a problem. All right, let's do another problem together. Everybody write this one down. Log x equals negative 3. Whenever you're stuck on a problem and you're not sure what the answer is, try rewriting it. So much of logs is transforming between logs and exponents. And if it's an exponent problem that doesn't have a log in it, you probably have to do it with a log. So it's back and forth between things that have logs and things that have exponents. This one has a base of 10. 10 to the negative third equals x. And if you know what 10 to the negative third is, you may remember it from scientific notation. You may agree that there would be 1 times 10 to the negative third to be the exact same thing, right? Because 1 times doesn't change anything. 1 times 10 to the negative third means take your 1 and move the decimal how far? 3 places. Which way? To the left or to the right? To the left. 1, 2, 3 spots. 0.01 equals, 0.001, sorry, equals x. There we go. Does that make sense? So once again, there's a negative in the problem. Does that mean that the whole thing's extraneous? No. You can have negatives over here. You can't have negatives there. You can't have negatives there. Is that the same thing as 0.001? 1 over tenths, hundreds, thousandths. Yes. 1 over 1,000, the same thing as 0.001. Identical. Okay. Let's see. Some more complicated rewriting. 1.06 to the x is equal to 4.1. I even said it in my introduction. I said more complicated rewriting. Try rewriting it. Anytime there's an x in the exponent, that's the whole point of logs, is they help you with x's in the exponent, exponentials. Snap out of it. Some of you are slipping into a coma. All right. Your eyes are drooping. Probably won't fall asleep for the next few minutes anyways. All right. So now log base 1.06. And then you always have to jump around. You can't just do the next thing like x. You have to jump to the other side to get your next thing. 4.1 equals back over here x. And do you really think I would want you to do that in your head? No, there's no way to do that in your head. So if you had to do it with a calculator, do you get that your answer would not be good? Because why? How did I start the lesson today? Exact. Is this going to be exact if we use a calculator? Not unless the decimal comes out to like 1.2. But if it comes out to 1.0793524, right, and unless you're going to write forever for the rest of your life, you're not going to be able to tell me what this answer is if you use a calculator. So how can you give an exact answer? What you have right here is fine, or what you just said is also okay. Log 4.1 over log 1.06, but I think it's just as easy to say that, and I'm already done. So in other words, you can leave your answers like that. We don't want you to use a calculator if it says exact, because what's a calculator always going to do with a long decimal? It's going to round it. All right. So moral of the story, answers like this are okay today. All right. So there's just going to be a little bit of complication thrown in some of them. Let's try one like this. 7 minus 3e to the negative x is equal to 2. I have a new favorite saying. You need to get the clump alone. Get the clump alone. That's the clump right there. Just to clarify, that 3 does not need to be on that e. We don't want it to be on that e. So we need to get the 7 off of there. We need to get the negative 3 off of there. And then that clump right in the circled in red will be alone. And then you can rewrite it. You can't rewrite until you get the clump alone. Imagine how that would be spelled. Clump alone. Seems like it'd be a good Italian dish. Calzone or the clump alone. When I start my restaurant, it's going to definitely be one of the options on the menu. Get the clump alone. It's great. Anyway, subtract 7. We got negative 3 e to the negative x is equal to negative 5. Negatives running all over the place. I want to just tell you a story from college. My son's a freshman at St. Thomas, and he had 2 math tests this year. And you know how sometimes you guys get a little bitter about, making a negative mistake and it costing you the answer? He had two major tests this semester. One of them, he forgot a negative in his test, and he lost 40 points on the test because he made that one mistake with a negative, and the teacher said, well, you had time to check it over. You should have checked your work. Tough nuggies. Ouch! Second test, did the same thing. Not the same problem, made one mistake with a negative, lost another 40 points on that test. And it's not like he's going to fail the class, but he's certainly not going to get an A. So anyway, I'm just saying this is college level. You guys are not really at college level yet, but they get serious about their negatives in college too. So, all right, so let's be careful with this one. So I'm going to divide by -3, divide by -3, and then this cancels. And now I have e to the negative x equals, those negatives will cancel, 5/3. And now, what the heck, how do I do this? Oh, I got the clump alone, so now what can I do? Rewrite. Now, how do I rewrite it? Well, there's no log in it, so you can put a log in it. Yes, ma'am. No, this -3 is attached with a multiply, so I had to divide on both sides. So we divided by -3 on both sides, because this was a -3 times e. So we divide. All right, so back to this. I'm going to now fix this with a log. Log base e. There is a shortcut way to say log base e. What is it? ln. Of 5/3 equals -x. So the only difference today is yesterday, or not yesterday, but before the weekend, you would have probably went and grabbed a calculator to do this one. You would have typed in ln of 5/3 and you got a decimal for it. Well, it's actually easier. You don't have to type it in the calculator. You just leave it. But is it solved for x yet? No, so now we just have to divide by a -1 or multiply by a -1. Either way, this negative comes off of here and then becomes a negative on there, and x is alone. And that is what's called an exact answer, because if you had typed it in a calculator, you'd have had to round your answer, and it wouldn't have been exact anymore. All right. Any questions? It's a pretty easy day. It's pretty much just, that's it. It's pretty much what you've been doing, except with a little added twist of got to make sure that you get the clump alone, yes, and leave your answers in exact form. No calculators. Yes? Good question. The parentheses, if you were going to have any, could either go here, but parentheses around a whole side really doesn't do anything, right? Or if you wanted to do other parentheses, it would go here, but you really don't need the parentheses because there's nothing to be distributed or anything. So either one of those would have been okay, but not necessary. All right. That's all I got for you for today. Nice, easy day.